Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Well, my guest this morning is Engineer Modupe Ajibola. He's not a stranger to the house. It's just that, he's in the diaspora, and so we don't see each other every week. But why don't you call in? That's another aspect. Why don't you call in? We have a whole cache of diasporans that call in, but great to have you back home.
Pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
You're here to participate in the election by way of observer status.
Observer.
You're going to be observing.
Yes, I'm just observing.
That's
a private
cool.
citizen observing the election in Nigeria. It's important that we all Nigerians partake in this process.
Indeed. And speaking about, people in the diaspora and also foreigners, this morning somebody sent to my, WhatsApp account a little video clip of President Obama, speaking to Nigerians on the election and saying all the things that world leaders do say, reminding us that he hears we have a saying in Nigeria that to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. Well, those are good handles, and so Obama was in this little, I think it was a 90-second clip or so. He was saying that you just have to be fair. Talking about the elections, it has to be fair, it has to be credible, and all of those kind of things. Things that we well know ourselves. Okay, now I know that one of the things that you want to talk about, or shall I say segments, is like the challenges before the next administration.
Yes, sir.
That's really it,
yes,
the next
sir.
administration. It could be anybody. It could be any of the parties that we hear here, but here we are now, and you are thinking ahead to the challenges before the next administration. So what you got?
I'm excited. You see the beauty of, first of all, thank you again for having me, because you're a super interviewer, and I always enjoyed the session with you. Yeah. So one of the things that I've always, hoped for Nigeria is the day where the powers that be will be challenged enough on the vision that both the indigenes and the intellectual community have. Because we have two groups in Nigeria. There's the indigenous Nigerians, which by and large, one could argue they're the undereducated folks, the rural Nigeria, and then the so-called intellectual Nigerians that have come of age, and some of them are abroad and here. 80% of the country are indigenous, are more so in that rural factor, are more so undereducated, underinformed, and so. And they call them Ijile. I want Ijile.
There you go.
There's like 80% of them.
Oh, I forgot to mention it. How did I forget? Modupe Ajibola is a US-based technology expert, and he's also a political affairs analyst. Just because I was speaking about diaspora,
pleasure.
It could have been Germany, it could have been UK.
That's true.
So I just wanted to say, US-based technology expert.
I appreciate you. So for me, and I'll give a background, I'm glad you gave that background. We've built a platform in the US to allow voters participate in elections better. And I would say how that connects to the challenge I see here. Because the typical challenge in any community is, how do you hold the federal, the state, and the local government accountable for the roles they all play? How? How do you, in a system where all these three entities are always fighting for power, in our case, is more centralized, which means the federal government in Nigeria is the one that actually drives most of the, and he who pays the piper mostly dictates the tune, correct? So now the states also want quite a bit of control away from the local government, and the local government are proving themselves in Nigeria to be unappreciated by just about everybody. Nobody trusts the local government. Nobody believes in the local government. In fact, the biggest election outrage that should be happening should be a local government election. Should not be about federal. It should be who is responsible for what happens directly to the people.
But
so the challenge.
I beg your pardon. When you say, and there's a sense in which we can understand, when you say that nobody really trusts the local government, perhaps they're not giving the full value. They're not allowed to perform in the way that they should be able to perform. Because as you're about to say, I'm sure, there are other commentators who have said to us that, you know what, guys, the local government is one of the more important,
You're correct. In fact, you're very correct. That's where I'm going actually with the argument, is that the issue may very well not be that they're underperforming. It could very well be that they're under-communicating. Which means the information about their performance is not reaching their constituents.
That's one.
So, and
they don't have the autonomy that they require.
So you
Local
can
government
you
autonomy,
can
getting their funds, their finances directly. Yeah, I'll agree with you if you say the states are not really enamored of that idea by their
You're
behavior.
not wrong. Any which way we dissect it, it shouldn't matter the autonomy. It should matter the results. If we measure the results, let's forget the antics of who pays who doesn't pay who. Some funds at some point hit the local government. Can the local government just show what was done with it and highlight it to the constituency so that the constituency can know, at least with the little we got, this is what we did with it?
So this is one of the challenges that you feel the following
big
administrations are going to have to address. How you make all the sectors, the different layers of government, accountable.
Accountable. And let me say how this all connects. You just said before the show the amount of misinformation the internet provides. Even on my way to Nigeria, I was told several times, don't you go there. They're going, there's this, there's crisis, there's accidents, there's fuel scarcity, every imaginable excuse to concern you as a citizen to go back home. But you get here and you realize, wait a minute, there's strife, there's challenges.
There are all those things.
But people are still smiling,
Yes.
people are still dancing, people are still working, people are still...
Don't remind me of Fela Anikulapo of Blessed Memory, suffering and smiling.
That's all right. No. So not to take away from the suffering. I'm not saying the smiling means they're not suffering. But I am saying that it is not the kind of pictures that are painted from anecdotal stories.
That's right.
Is so bad and egregious that local government, state government, and federal should be ahead of these kinds of things. But in Nigeria, the challenge we face is those local government folks feel like the truth would set them free. The truth would eventually come out somewhere. People would know that this is not what's happening. No. You have to get ahead of the stories. That is your job. In fact, your job as government officials has suddenly changed from just servicing the people to informing the people more so than even serving them. Because if you're serving them without informing them and they do not know about your services, it is of no use because you're going to be penalized for the lack of knowledge, for the ignorance. So we have...
That's one area where you think we could do a lot better going into the next...
So we talked about...
Is it at all levels? Because I don't know if you're tarring, as it were, just to use the word, the federal and the state governments with the same brush, because I think it might be different.
It is different. Okay. It is different. It is different. But it's still the beast that needs to be addressed. What I'm saying is whoever wins the presidential election must make sure that the citizens of the country understand where his limitations lie. This is my role, and this is what I would do for your states. Your states, they need to show to you what they're doing for you. Your local governments, they need to demonstrate to you what they need to do for you. Now, what we will do from the federal level is hold all of them accountable.
One. And then two, you also, I'm sure, realize that there are constitutional divisions as to what is whose job.
It's there in the Constitution.
It is
there already.
Yes.
It's not an issue. It's a lack of, that's why I said it's lack of information, transparency, accountability. That's all it is. The laws are there, the information is there. So the question is, how are you going to get your citizens to be informed about this? Number one, you got to get that population we're talking about that are in that demographic of literacy, below literacy. You got to get them out of that literacy burden.
To education.
To education.
Is one of the focuses.
It's huge. Now, a lot of Nigerians are educated more so than you can imagine, actually. A lot of them have high school degrees. In fact, the literacy rate in Nigeria is about 77% now, which of the adults. But the difference is that about 16% go to college. About 67% high school, they stop, boom. They're going into the marketplace. Think about that for a minute.
But even those that go to university that you're speaking about, as you know, there's still the problem of jobs.
Yes.
So that's one other big thing.
I was getting to
because
that.
all those that are going for this coveted higher education, they have to find jobs for themselves. Universities are now teaching it that, look, they're teaching it entrepreneurship so that you don't begin to look for a salaried job the way your parents might have. You've got to come out thinking of, actually, maybe I need to be thinking about being an employer of labor myself.
So, yes and no.
Okay.
And I'll take it from the US. So in the US, to become an entrepreneur, in fact, to even go to graduate school in some cases, they require you to go get some field experience, which means go get a
No,
job.
graduate school is different. I mean, I thought you were
No,
talking about the first degree level.
I'm even saying
Oh, okay.
there's a
Okay.
reason I brought that up.
Okay.
Because there's certain milestones of exposure you need to have as an individual to start a business. If you do not have those exposures, you're liable to make a lot of errors. And those errors are very costly, not just costly to the government, costly to the people that you hired. So it's important that individuals don't just go from college or high school into becoming employers, but have an exposure to what it means to run a company. But how do they do that? The federal government can help in this aspect also. I'm glad you brought that up. So what they can help do is allow the established companies, right, to be benefactors of some type of, give back or whatever you want to call it, for hiring
This
and
whole mentorship
programs, internship, where government is saying, if you can hire this many people, you may not have the real job for them, but they're under your system learning how things work because they're shadowing you. Even for that shadowing effort and they're under your guidance, we will make sure that we reduce the tax burden you have. We'll make sure we reduce certain things. This way, all these young people are part of some institution.
I hear you. And I wonder if you've heard, because as you were saying what you were just saying, especially engaging with the private sector, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually had a meeting with the organized private sector where these kind of matters and issues were exhaustively, how exhaustive can you be in a 1 or 2 hour stretch? But you know what I mean. He's addressed these issues, knowing them, as you are indicating to me, to be as crucial as indeed they are.
I don't believe what is lacking in Nigeria is understanding or even these issues I'm talking about. I think everybody quite understands them. What's lacking is the instruments to manage them. Okay. They need instruments to manage them. Okay. If you're going to do this kinds of thing, something as simple as me flying from the United States, and there's an immigration form that is required for you to fill out before you depart and come here. Immunization or some, actually it's about COVID. And the website they tell you to go to is no longer working. But the airline requires it from you to have. So you as a citizen, you're there arguing with the American people and saying, what do you mean I can't travel? It's my country, I'm going back to it. They're like, well, your country said you cannot come unless you fill this form. The website is down though, well, that's not, go talk to your country. And then you're looking at yourself like, who do I talk to? Who do I talk to? Who is my country? And then you call your dad or your mom or somebody, and you're like, hey, country.
Let me help you a bit there, because when you just said what you just said in relation to the subject matter you're speaking on, maybe you've heard about the e-Naira thing.
Yes.
The website isn't working. Even though they're doing their best, because I'm sure you might touch on it. It's all about cashlessness in Nigeria.
Cashlessness, we definitely have to talk about that. But
the e-Naira and all that kind of thing, even though I got a text, that means they have some of my details. I got a text saying that, okay, this is how you are, this is your password, this, that. Out of the blue, maybe I filled this one time, I couldn't remember. Yeah. And I said, okay, you've sent me this, let me do my own part. I tried to access it, and it was failed. In other words, the website still has a few crinks that need to be ironed out.
And that's, look.
So we need to be patient.
We need to be patient, and that happens. That technology, that happens. However, it is not excusable for no scapegoats, for there not to be any scapegoat in this incident. This is where the accountability comes in. Like, we put you in charge of it with this budget.
You mean like holding somebody responsible?
Somebody has to be responsible.
Okay. This is the difficult part here, and if you were to want to major on that, I'll understand. This whole matter about, can we determine who is responsible, who do we hold liable here? Not because we're sadists and we like punishing people, but can we just agree that this guy or this person, was lacking, and we need to do something about it? Now, that's not something that I feel we like doing very much around here.
Nobody likes doing it anywhere in the world. The only difference is that professionals are trained to accept their failures. But when you have governing bodies appointing folks that are non-professionals to take charge of projects that are beyond their own imagination. They don't.
You think that happens from time to time?
I'm confident it happens, but I will not call names. That is why I'm mostly impressed with how Lagos has functioned.
I was going to bring Lagos up.
Lagos has functioned in a way. I had worked years back with Fashola on a contract, some years back to help the universities deploy access points. I'd invented this technology, and the way the project went seamlessly, where we got the contract, we got the approval, and the bottleneck now came when we were dealing with civil servants and all those things, which happens. But still, the energy with which the commissioner was fighting to get the civil servants to get us to get it done showed that these people cared about results, because somebody was going to deal with him.
Someone is going to ask for account.
Deal with the commissioner if he didn't deliver. Yeah. So I saw that, and to me, if that can be scaled across the country, in many ways, it's a plus. However, that's the practical aspect of it. It goes back to what I started with, which is the information part of it. You still have to communicate what you're doing and how you're doing it. That experience that I have, if I'm not testifying about it, nobody knows that Lagos was doing such a functional apparatus. No average citizen in the streets can relate to that experience. So you got to find a way to make it relatable to the people. So the arrogance that some of our leadership have to do away with after the election is important. When I say arrogance, I mean the sense of the braggadocio that comes with your experience. Yes, you have accolades, you've achieved something, but people still need you to speak to them as if to say what their concerns are matters. This is where I think some of our leaders are lacking, and some have actually captured it. But your capturing of people's pain does not make you qualified to solve them always, right? You can capture all the grievances of everybody. It doesn't mean you're able to solve it. So we need experience. Those are the experience with connecting dots between the rural and the private sector, similar to the things they've done in Lagos and in other places. We also need people that understand the grievances of the youth, right? So I can't see, in these elections that are coming up, I can't see...
The grievances or the special needs. I mean, well, maybe there's a sense in which the two could mean the same in certain aspects.
They are upset. They're upset.
Beyond the matter of the needs of the youth, there's also the grievance issue. Talk to me a bit about that.
You see, the youths cannot even see their needs right now. They see lack. They don't see needs.
Too many of them
because if you sit down, and every time I sat down with the youth, I said, give me 3 things you need right now that'll solve your problem. They don't know what that is. The Bible, they say, we need more education. I said, no, I mean what you need. What do you mean we need more education? It's like, oh, you're educated, but telling me, oh, you're speaking for other people, which means you're carrying on talking points of everybody else, as opposed to daily thinking about what, if they give me what I need right now, if I had 5 seconds with an investor, and he comes to me and says, I'm going to invest in you if you tell me your idea, what would be that idea? Give it to me right now. Okay. So a lot of the...
What kind of responses are you getting?
I'm not getting positive responses. They've not thought through it. The salvation is still in their mind to come from somewhere else. So that's why I said that the transition between college and professionalism needs to go through mentorship.
Okay, one moment. Let me take Lukman, who's calling in from Ghana, I believe. Lukman, good morning, Lukman. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Engineer Jibola.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, you see, I'm so happy with what Engineer Jibola is saying. When you go to UK, whatever you need will be sought out by council. In Nigeria, we always focus on federal government. And the local government, we don't know that the main spheres of government to every citizen is local government. If I wake up in Surulere, where I came from, where I'm supposed to go, if I'm having any problem, it's local government. If the problem is beyond local government chairman, he needs to report to the state government, and the state government needs to come and solve that problem. No, on unemployment of the youth, as of today, how many state governments are creating jobs? During the regional time, what Awolowo did in western part of Nigeria is what we still achieve today. Why the regional cannot, even if a state cannot do that, why the regional cannot come together and go into agriculture? Agriculture can consume a lot of unemployment when we go on mechanized farming. And all those things will attract people. I think we need to be serious, and our people need to focus on state rather than the 70% of Nigerian problem is at the state level. 30% is with the federal government. So our Nigerians should focus and should vote wisely during the state government election.
Indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lukman.
Good word. Good word, Lukman.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mr. Lukman is absolutely correct. We talked about this, and look, the local government is not. I'm not trying to bastardize the local government. You know, we're not bashing them. We're saying that whatever, even if I had to take an exam that was never graded, I would always give myself a pass.
Oh, okay. That's where the accountability thing
That's
comes
where
in.
it comes in.
You have to have this sense. So, and you think that's, I'm now beginning to catch on. You're saying that this is what is going to be needed going forward.
That's the instrument that you
Going
need
forward.
going forward. That instrument is not about
Where
some
people give an account of their
statistical
stewardship.
data that only you and I can read. It has to be data that is transparent enough for the common man to understand.
Okay.
That he sees it. Oh, àgbàdo, wọn àgbàdo ti grow ní gan ní àdúgbò yìí pé òun là ń tà jù. You know what I'm saying? If I want to have something to do with it, I can go talk to my local government. I can be part of such a thing, and they can show me that we've employed this.
Because you have the knowledge.
You have the knowledge,
Which was passed
the awareness,
to you
yes,
by way of information.
Now, you see how this ecosystem will work. That now begins to give way to the value for media also. Because, you know, media is also part of that information. But the local governments have a budget to deal with you guys to get the information out there.
Okay.
So,
1 second, please. Again, people seem to like what's coming, you know, so they're calling in. Good morning, Mr. Yakub in Dokwemu.
Good morning, Shivjori, and then good morning to your guest.
good morning.
Shivjori, I totally agree with your guest.
Okay.
I said it all.
Modupe Ajibola.
Shivjori, I could see something scrolling on the screen here that Supreme Court has adjourned the CBN case to February 22. Shivjori, where are we going from this stage? A station whereby the central bank is so powerful to the extent that it does not obey the highest cost of the land. Now, they have adjourned the case to February 22 now, and then the people are beginning to reject this old note. And then there is no new note in circulation. Now, Nigerian youth are beginning to protest and destroy something. They will say Nigerian citizens are not doing right. Now, in this time, this is my own to extend it.
Okay. I'm sorry, Yakub. The line, we got what you started off with, and he was complaining.
Yeah.
You know, we had a senior advocate of Nigeria here yesterday to help us understand some of these things. And you heard the complaint is that now the long and short of it is that the highest court in the land is not being obeyed. Even, I think there are other publications where the governor of Central Bank was saying that there was no need, to adjust the cutoff date and all of that. It does look like they want to push this thing through, but it looks like they're good from a point of view of the law. But the understanding in the public space is still, this whole thing is suspect.
It's not even just there. For me, I would say this thing is above my pay grade.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I think most Nigerians should get better at. There's a lane that we all specialize in. And I think we're better served when we speak to those lanes better than when we just act as if.
I hear what you're saying. That, yeah, you know, in fact, thank you for not just wading into it any old house. Say, look, because this is what the lawyer that we had, the senior lawyer that we had in, was explaining yesterday, that there are so many things that appear upside down or stupid to the ordinary man walking the streets, but from the point of view of the law, those things.
But it goes back with what you
Actually-
and I said, which is the communication gap between this federal state
things
and
need to be
they need before it happens.
I
now,
get you.
This issue.
Sorry to interrupt you, because as the lawyer was speaking yesterday, there are people who were saying that, you know what, I'm now better informed. And
There you go. There you go.
I now have
There you go.
more
There
respect
you go.
for a given situation. But Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir, and thank you for holding on. Go ahead now.
Good morning, Yore. Good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When I listen to your guest, Yore, a wonderful and intelligent young man. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
If I feel like we are in that nation, in that dream nation we are looking for, all he discussed here works in ID nation. In ID nation, how do you expect Buhari to cut a weed in a local government office? I went to my local government in Imo State. When I saw the environment, it was full of weeds. So I was asking the chairman, why can't some staff here or workers clear this, environment and make it clean? He said we don't have money to give contracts to clean that environment. I said, sir, you need a contractor to clean grass? Does it make sense? Because everything here is contract. In CCs, we have what you call PW something. This is, I don't know what to call it now, but it's a work in the Ministry of Works that can patch road without giving it
I
to
think
Josbekja.
back in the day, it used to be
Also,
PWD or something like that.
Yeah, PWD, sir.
Public
Now,
Works
you don't need
Department.
to wait for a road to break down totally for somebody to pass it. Since we left for that ID concept, we are what we are today. So what your guest is saying, it means in ID nation that these ideas work. But we are in on ID nation. Let me say this without any if somebody to insult me. The lawyer in the house yesterday, I want to ask him a question.
Okay, Babatunde Ogala.
Yes, it clarifies nothing. It stood on the head. I want to tell Ogala yesterday, do you belong to APC that on the side of Lawal? But there are two APC. Or do you belong to APC that on the side of Bola Tinubu? The APC of the Bola Tinubu wants a good nation. The APC on the side of Lawal, who went to court, when Lawal has surrendered in a big court, and the APC on the side of Lawal, who is dragging Nigeria to nothing, went to court and said that even though Lawal did not contest in primary, it is our choice. Where does that happen? Where is internal democracy? So I want to ask Ogala, which law did he read?
I don't want to go back to yesterday, but Tunde Ogala explained it a bit, and it seemed, like you and I, Reverend Dominic, will say the law is often an ass. The lawyers themselves say so because they are working within the narrow confines of the law. But I don't want to go too much back there. Ogala SAN felt that, he understands perhaps why the rest of the people might not understand it, but that the court was in order, even though Lawan hadn't gone to court himself. It was the party that went to court on his behalf, saying that they had actually conducted, a primary at one time. But as I said, I understand you. I was there. Ogala was the person who sort of said that, look, let me explain it a bit to you. So I guess that's that. But Reverend Dominic, did you want to, I think you've already said that you sort of align with a lot of things that Modupe Ajibola is saying. I think he's gone.
Yeah. No, so again, another frustrated Nigerian that is a valuable citizen to this country. And you can see the passion. The way they come at this is with passion, which means it's no surprise that when we go to other countries, we thrive, we excel. It's no surprise.
That guy that just called in, Reverend Dominic, he's passionate in his support for the ruling party. But of recent, he has become quite angry and has also voiced this anger.
It is
that
look,
I'm not about to quit, but I wanted to say pissed. I'm angry. I'm angry at the way the ruling party is conducting itself.
You see, whether it's for the ruling party or for Obi or for whoever he is for, there's passion everywhere, is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Everyone is feeling it. So the next government, since that's what we're talking about, will be remiss not to address these passions that are coming from all angles, to think that you have to, the next phase of our governmentship should be based on competency, not loyalty. Not loyalty. You see, this loyalty thing, it may seem appropriate at some point, but it's not sustainable
But it has
because
doesn't it have to be a combination of the two?
there's no need. There's no
Loyalty
need.
and competency.
There's no need for loyalty because the people would have your back when you have their back. You don't need the people you appoint to be the one you trust when the people put you there and you're serving them. The only thing you need is the people that put you there to know what you are doing and to
You're capable
know
of.
that I'm going to hold them when they mess up.
And you would have.
They will continue to support you. If I go to the airport that is dysfunctional and I look for aviation minister or whatever and I say, this airport has been dysfunctional for so long, this is the entrance into Nigeria, I need it to be better than this. And I've said that again and again and again. And nobody yields to that. It becomes an embarrassment for who? The ruling party. It doesn't become an embarrassment for
Oh, okay.